Do you want to talk to the devil? You might be repulsed by that idea, but there are those who would take the opportunity, at least if it was real. This idea sits at the heart of a classic creepypasta, one that was published around the end of the so-called golden age of the format. But why did this one get so popular while so many others like it faded into obscurity? Let's talk about the devil game. So first, I'm going to give a brief synopsis of the story, though it is quite on the longer side, so it might be a little longer than usual. As always, timestamps are in the description if you're just here for the breakdown. Otherwise, let's get into it. The devil game falls into the subgenre best known as ritual pasta. This is just what it sounds like. The story gives instructions for some kind of supernatural ritual. This ritual allows you to summon the devil and gain access to some of his forbidden knowledge. According to the instructions, you have to visit a church at midnight, so this one requires a little B&E from the start. You can't bring any electronics with you, and the ritual has to start close to midnight. After performing the ritual, which as you can imagine involves salt and a lot of candles, you should see the devil in a mirror you brought with you. But he's not going to look like the red-skinned horned creature that you see in pop culture. Instead, he'll probably take on the appearance of an average or maybe even above average looking man. From there, you'll engage the devil in what is essentially an elaborate, much more dangerous game of truth or dare. He won't tell you if you answered his questions right or wrong, but whether you did will determine whether he tells you the truth when you ask him a question. He'll ask you questions that you think you know the answer to, but you're not 100% sure, which will cause you to constantly second guess yourself. He'll know you're lying, even if you're lying to yourself. And of course, he's not going to explain the rules to you as you go. What did you think? If you take a dare instead, well, it's probably not going to be anything you want to do. He probably won't ask you to do anything like murder, but he will ask you to do things like cut off a treasured relationship or injure yourself. The narrator gives tips and tricks throughout the story to manipulate the devil into getting the information you really want. They also outline the rules of the game, such as to never let the devil out of your sight and never give him your real name. According to the story, although the devil will, of course, already know your name, telling it to him yourself is akin to inviting a vampire into your home. If you break any of these rules, well, there won't be much left of you to find. You have exactly 66 minutes and 6 seconds to complete the ritual, because of course you do. He will try to trick you into going over the time limit, and he won't tell you if you do. And if you do end up going over, your soul will be trapped behind the mirror, and he'll possess your body. The story ends with the narrator encouraging you to try out the ritual. After all, it is dangerous, but you're one of the intelligent ones. You wouldn't make any of those stupid mistakes, right? The original story was posted to CreepyPasta.com on October 23rd, 2013. It was written by a user who goes by the name Infernal Nightmare 333. She's also gone by the pseudonym Casey Pierce. And the Devil Game wasn't the first or only story she published. A total of 6 stories were published to the website between 2013 and 2015 under this username. A loose follow-up to the Devil Game was published a couple of months later, on the day after Christmas of 2013. But most of her other stories were different subgenres. There was at least one first-person narrative, and also an attempt at 2-sentence horror stories. I did my own video on 2-sentence horror stories, which I will put up in the cards if you want to check that out. I didn't actually write any of my own, I just read some out. Someone with the same username posted a story to the No Sleep subreddit in 2018, and it was called My Brother Hasn't Spoken to Me in 10 Months. But none of the other stories by Casey Pierce / Infernal Nightmare gained anywhere near as much traction as the Devil Game. And clearly I'm not the only one who likes it. It has an average rating of 9.06 out of 10 on CreepyPasta.com, making it one of the top rated on the entire site. A reading done by Mr. CreepyPasta, posted in November of 2013, has garnered an estimated 1.6 million views. Another reading I've linked to below, done by user The Dark Somnium, has over 200,000 views. One of the top comments on that video reads as follows: "This is how you do a real creepypasta. Add enough detail to make it feel more like a narrative than an instruction pamphlet. Maybe throw in an unreliable narrator or two." A good real creepypasta doesn't just make a list for list's sake. It uses the list as a framing device to tell a story. Well done to the author on this one. So that leads me into my next question. Why did it work? Why did the story get so popular with horror fans in the early to mid 2010s? I'm going to go over 3 reasons why I think it did so well. The first is that it breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to the reader in second person. This is something that a lot of ritual pastas do, but I think it does it a little bit better than a lot of the others. Not only does this make the story feel more personal, but it can also kind of trick your brain into a sense of realism. I talked a little bit about this in my video on Hachishaku-sama, and even several weeks after I posted that video, I still wake up in the middle of the night and am afraid I'm going to see her out of the corner of my eye. A disclaimer on what appears to be Casey Pierce's official blog states that everything she writes is a work of fiction. I remember a lot of creepypasta authors giving out similar disclaimers in 2014. This was right after the Slender Man stabbings, and I guess they gave them out since that involved 2 girls who thought Slender Man was real. I do remember Casey Pierce putting a new disclaimer/statement on the beginning of the Devil game after this, but it appears to have been taken down since. The overwhelming majority of creepypasta fans, of course, know that these stories aren't real. But that doesn't mean our brains can't be tricked sometimes. One YouTube user commented on the Dark Somnium video and joked, "It would be a really great irony if the devil actually wrote this story to be believed to be a creepypasta, just to see if anyone would try it." And a user named Adeline left the following comment on the original creepypasta story. "Wow, I am so gullible. No matter how much I tell myself that this won't actually happen, there's still a little what if. I guess that's a sign of a very well-written creepypasta." Adeline, I completely agree. The second reason is that it involves the devil, who is a pretty widely feared creature in pop culture. In the West, the devil has become a symbol of temptation and unhealthy desires. Even if you're not religious, we're all scared of falling into temptation and doing something we shouldn't, something that hurts us or someone we care about. One thing I find interesting about this particular story and some other stories involving the devil is that he takes on the appearance of a seemingly average-looking man, and I think this makes it way scarier. It's easy to run from a threat when it looks like a monster. It's much harder when it looks like something ordinary, or even worse, something we desire. There's an old saying that the devil appears to you as the thing you want most. And again, even if you're not religious, you can see this as a metaphor. The temptation to do something wrong never appears as something you wouldn't want. After all, it wouldn't be a temptation if it did. The third reason is that, just like any good ritual pasta, it offers a good incentive. There are a lot of ritual pastas out there, and different stories give different prizes for completing the ritual. Sometimes it's just bragging rights. You get to tell your friends that you did this dangerous ritual and didn't die or get dragged into hell or whatever it is supposed to happen. With some, the reward could be money or fame. But with the devil game, it's something a little bit different. Knowledge. Even if it's something as simple as tomorrow's winning Powerball numbers, that might be enough reason for some people to give this dangerous ritual a try. And that is the devil game explained. This story reminds me a little bit of my own book, Penny Dreadful, even though I started writing that one before the devil game was published. That one also has to do with the temptation and dangers of forbidden knowledge. I'm also working on outlining another trilogy right now that was partially inspired by the devil game, although it was mostly subconscious inspiration. That one won't be out for a while, but if you do want to check out any of my other works, you can check the description or pinned comment down below. Thanks for watching, and have a creepy day.